Maps define us. Imaginary lines that delineate neighborhoods. They speak to where we've been and who we are. But these old boundaries only show part of the picture. Here are the new maps of Brooklyn. These are the maps that tell the story of Brooklyn today. And this is what it's like to live on the grid.
Hi, I'm Zephyr Teachout, and we are on the grid. Today we are on the hunt for the elusive Brooklyn Republican. It's an overwhelmingly Democratic borough, so the question is, where do Republicans live? Why are they Republican? How are they organizing? And we are going to start with John Mollenkopf, CUNY's director of the Center for Urban Research. Hi there.
Hello.
How are you doing this morning?
Very well, thank you.
Wonderful to see you.
Nice to be here. Beautiful Brooklyn Park.
Oh, it's gorgeous. So here we are in Bay Ridge today, looking for the elusive Brooklyn Republicans.
Well, there's about 1.3 million registered voters in Brooklyn, and about 118,000 of them are registered Republicans.
Interesting.
So less than 10%.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about how that maps onto electoral representation.
Well, every district is primarily Democratic
Yes.
in New York, but they do elect Republicans. And that's an interesting paradox, because there are clearly some people who register as Democrats but often vote Republicans. For example, the high water mark for Republicans in New York City was Ronald Reagan's first election. He got 40% of the vote in New York City at a time when only about 14% of the voters were registered Republican. And if you think about Mayor Giuliani as a Republican or Mayor Bloomberg as a Republican, they won elections in a heavily Democratic city.
And what about Brooklyn? Because that's our topic. So do you see the same thing with Reagan and
Brooklyn
Giuliani?
leans more Democratic than the city as a whole. If you count it as a county and rank all the counties in the United States by the number of Democratic votes that come from them, we're about number 3 on the national list.
Okay.
After Kings County, with Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles County. So we're in a Democratic stronghold.
Okay, let's go find some Republicans then.
Well, you can see they're kind of on the periphery here. They're Republicans for somewhat different reasons. The Russians down here are Republicans because they're anti-communist. They fled the Soviet Union. So we're basically talking Brighton Beach.
And what kind of numbers do these represent?
About roughly 5,000 registered Republicans. And even in these places, they're not the majority of the registered voters.
Okay. And then what about Republicans here in Bay Ridge?
I ran a frequency distribution of last names this morning to see what kind of people are Republicans. And you get a lot of good old-fashioned American, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant names like Brown and Davis and so forth. And then, of course, a bunch of Irish and Italian. But you can also see the party is changing here because there are Greek names, there are Lebanese names.
What other kinds of political divisions beyond Republican, Democrat do you sort of see coming out of Brooklyn's map?
Before African Americans and Puerto Ricans began to be a significant part of the electorate, the big division was between Catholics and Jews. And to some extent, I think there's a bit of that. As the white population became a plurality rather than a majority, that brought the Jews and Catholics much closer together. And remember, the Republican Party has played an enormous part both in U.S. history and in New York City history. You'll learn a lot about that, I think.
Thank you very much for the insights. As always, wonderful to see you.
And see you next time.
I'll see you next time.